Good morning, students. Hope you all are fine. Okay. Today we'll start with the first chapter, that is The Portrait of a Lady by Khushwant Singh. Okay. This is from the book Hornbill. Clear? Okay. So before we start with the chapter, let me tell you a small introduction about the author, that is Khushwant Singh. Now, he was born on 15th August 1915. He was a very prolific writer, you can say, of Indian English literature, and he has been the author and editor of so many weekly magazines also and newspapers also. Yeah, he had a very you can say a very deep attachment with his grandmother. And very important thing is that you might have heard about that one particular book, that is A Train to Pakistan. I think you all have seen the movie Gadar, if you remember, long back. Okay, yes, that particular movie is being the autobiography, or that's been taken from that particular book only. That is the descriptive part, A Train to Pakistan. Okay. Now, he was being awarded with the second highest civilian award, that is Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan also, in the year 2007 and 10. Clear? And he had been a great writer. And in the year 2014, on 20th March, he died. This is what a small information about Khushwant Singh. Now, this particular story, that is A Portrait of a Lady, has been divided into three phases. Now, this particular chapter talks about, it is an autobiographical part where Khushwant Singh has talked about his relation with his grandmother. I have already told you that he had a very deep, or he had a very intimate, you can say, relation with his grandmother. So this is a story about his relation with his grandmother. Clear? Now this chapter has been divided into three phases. The first phase is where Khushwant Singh and the grandmother, they live in village. The second phase is Khushwant Singh and the grandmother. They both have been shifted to the city. And after that, the third phase is about where Khushwant Singh is being shifted. He goes to college for his higher studies. And this tells about the, you can say, the how this relation, or how the intimacy between grandmother and Khushwant Singh, okay, it's been slowly it's been aparted. So this is an autobiographical part, you can say. Now the characters, the very two important characters in this chapter is Khushwant Singh and Khushwant Singh's grandmother. Clear? Okay, now let's start the chapter. So as the chapter opens, we see that Khushwant Singh talks about his grandmother. Now he says that, like everyone's grandmother, his grandmother is also very old. Okay, so whenever he is to look the grandmother, you can say. Now he also says that there is a portrait which has been kept on the mantelpiece, and that portrait is of Khushwant Singh's grandfather. So when Khushwant Singh look at the portrait, he says that his grandfather's physical features, he talks about, he has got a white turban, he has got a long beard, okay, which used to cover almost his chest part. And looking at the grandfather's portrait, he says that when I looked at this person, I could only say that this man could have only children and grandchildren. Okay, this is what he had. He looked as if like 100 years old. And now he talks about the grandmother, the physical features of the grandmother. Now his grandmother was a bit fat, you can say. She was slightly bent, okay, and she used to always keep her hand on her waist, one hand, and on the other hand she used to carry rosary beads. You might be knowing rosary beads, yes, okay, which we use for prayers, you can say. So she also had the rosary beads. She was a bit bent, and she used to keep on walking. She used to keep on hobbling, that is walking slowly. Clear? And she used to wear a white sari. She had a white silver lock, that is the hair, you can say. And the way she used to walk, saying inaudible prayers, she will be keep on reciting inaudible prayer, that is prayers only, the entire day. And she'll be walking around. So at this point of time, when Khushwant Singh looked at the grandmother, he says that she was like the landscape of mountain, a mountain which is covered with snow. Okay. So here the comparison, see the grandmother's physical features, the sari what she had, she was wearing, that was white, the silver lock, okay, that's been compared to the mountain, the landscape of mountain which is covered with snow. So it is a like. So which figure of speech is being used? It is simile. Very good. It is simile here. And he says that whenever I looked at my grandmother, It was more like contentment and peace. That is a satisfaction, you can say. Clear? Now Khushwant Singh says that Khushwant Singh and the grandmother, they both were very good friends. Now this is the first phase. Okay, listen carefully now. This is the first phase where it talks about Khushwant Singh and grandmother. They were living in village. His family was also living in village, but the parents, they left and they went to city. Okay, and what happened? Khushwant Singh and the grandmother, they were being left in the village only. So the initial years, you can say, when Khushwant Singh was small, okay, in the initial years, it was the grandmother only. She used to wake him or get him ready to school, and the most important part was that when she was when she made him getting ready for school, she used to keep on recite. She used to keep on singing the prayers. Okay, she used to keep on reciting the prayers, and she wanted that it might be that Khushwant Singh will be listening and he will be able to learn the prayers. He used to listen, but it was not, he didn't had a intention to learn. It was only because he loved grandmother's voice. Yeah. Now, it was that, so they both used to get ready, and she used to, you can say, she used to give him the plastered chalk, okay, the slate, the books, whatever the required things were there, and they both, and Khushwant Singh was being accompanied by his grandmother to school because school was attached to the temple. Okay, so grandmother will go and sit and she will read the scriptures, and you can say the priest, he used to teach the alphabets. The students will be sitting on the veranda and they will be taught by the priest. And while going to school, Khushwant Singh's grandmother, she will also carry stale chapatis. Okay, once the school will come to an end, she will also finish her prayer and all. While coming back, what they will do is, what Khushwant Singh's grandmother do it, she will give the stale chapatis to the dog. Okay, this was a routine that they have started with. This was the first phase when they were living in the village life. Clear? Now, when Khushwant Singh's parents have settled in the city, they have called for Khushwant Singh and the grandmother, you can say. Clear? Now, when these people, they have shifted to the city life, now this was the turning point in their life. This was the turning point in their friendship also. See the word I've used, turning point, which was very important. Now what happened? Now Khushwant Singh got admission in an English medium school. Clear? He was going in a school bus only, or you can say motor bus, where Khushwant Singh's grandmother was not able to accompany him. This was the first part. Second, when he went to the English medium school, he was being given with English lessons. He was being taught about Archimedes' principle. He was being taught about the world being round, where grandmother was not able to help him in his studies also. Clear? And the third part was that one day when Khushwant Singh came and he told his grandmother that, grandmother, I have been given with music lessons in my school. She was very much upset. The grandmother was very much upset because for her she thought that music had only vulgar associations, or you can say lewd. Lewd means vulgar. Okay, vulgar association, because she thought that music is the monopoly of haglords and beggars. So only these people can be taught with music and all. So at that time, music was not being considered to be something which is good. Okay, so she was being very upset, and moreover, she also came to know that there was no scriptures, there was no teaching of scriptures and holy books. So no education was given about these things. So this also made her very sad, you can say. Now the next phase was that when Khushwant Singh had gone to the university. So after his school life was over, he was planning to go to university, or you can say higher education. So this was again, there was a gap. The relation between the intimacy, or you can say the bonding, okay, there was a gap between the grandmother and Khushwant Singh, because now Khushwant Singh was busy with his own, you can say, life. He has to go for his studies and all. Now grandmother accepted this. Grandmother accepted this, you can say, with heavy heart. She was very much sad, but she accepted that. Clear? And the only thing what she was being doing the entire day was that she had taken to the spinning wheels, and in that part also half an hour, the entire day, in that half an hour part, she used to feed the sparrows. Okay, if you remember, in village life when she was there, she was feeding the stray dogs. But when she came to the city life, there were no stray dogs and all. So she had taken to, you can say, feeding of sparrows. Okay. Now, Khushwant Singh was planning to go to abroad for his further studies. Clear? Now, he had to go for his further studies, and that was for 5 years. Grandmother had accepted the seclusion, the loneliness, but she had controlled her emotions, and she went to the railway station to bid farewell to Khushwant Singh as he was going. And at this point of time, Khushwant Singh's grandmother, she kissed on his forehead, that is Khushwant Singh's forehead, and he thought that this might be the last physical contact what I have with my grandmother. The moist imprint, you can say. This might be the last one, because he is going for 5 years, and you never know what may happen or how things can go wrong. So no. So he thought that only. But surprising part was that, and he was very happy that when he came back, okay, the grandmother was there after completing 5 years of study. When he came back from abroad, the grandmother was there to welcome him. But on that day also, when his arrival also, the happiest moment for the grandmother was that half an hour when she used to feed the sparrows. But there was a slight change, okay, in the evening. And what was that? That was she collected some of the ladies from the nearby the place, or you can say nearby the area where they were living. She got a dilapidated drum, that is old drum, and she started thumping and she started singing because she was very happy and she was welcoming the grandson. And she started singing a song. The song meant as if like the welcoming of the warriors, okay, the homecoming of the warriors, that she started singing. The entire night she sang, they were enjoying, and the very surprising part was that she had omitted very important thing that she had never left, that was doing prayer. She left that. The entire night they were singing. The family protested that she should not go for singing or dancing too much because she was old, but she ignored and she did that only. The next morning she was taken ill. Clear? She was taken ill. The doctor was being called and the doctor checked, and the doctor said it's only a mild fever, it will go. But grandmother knew that her last part has come. The last, or you can say her chapter is going to come to an end. And she said to everyone that what I have left the last night, that I have not gone for doing prayers, I will go and continue with my prayer. I don't want anyone to disturb me. She went to the, you can say, the puja room, and she started praying. The moment she started praying, she had the rosary beads, but the moment she started, what happened? Her lips stopped and the rosary bead fell in the ground. And this was a part where she died, you can say. Okay. Now, after the death of the grandmother, the entire family was sad. Yes or no? Now, as it was a customary that the dead body need to be kept outside, it was been kept nearby the veranda. Clear? It was an evening time. The sun was setting, and it was a golden blaze color which was in a room and the veranda. And after a few hours of mourning, the family was busy for the last rites, you can say. Okay, the ceremony, or you can say the funeral ceremony. And there was almost thousands of sparrows were been sitting nearby the dead body. They were been sitting. Initial part, when the grandmother used to feed the sparrows, okay, there used to be a bedlam, there used to be a chirping sound. There used to be a lot of noise, you can say, that was being made by the sparrows. Sometimes they used to sit on her head, but she never shooed them. Okay? But this time, when the dead body was being kept, when the corpse was being kept, there were thousands of sparrows who have been sitting over there, but there was not a single sound that was being made by the sparrows. It was as if that they have been mourning the death of the grandmother. Looking at this, Khushwant Singh's mother, she felt very sad for these sparrows, and what she did was she had taken some breadcrumbs and she had given those to the sparrows, but they didn't notice the breadcrumbs. And the moment the dead body was being taken for the last rite, the funeral ceremony, you can say, the sparrows also flew away without noticing the breadcrumbs. So it was a kind of tribute, you can say, that was being given by the sparrows to the grandmother. Clear? So with this, we come to the end of the chapter, and this particular chapter talks about a great intimacy, or you can say the bonding between the grandson and the grandmother. the three faiths he talks about, and a very close relation what he had, what he shared with his grandmother. Hope you understood the chapter. Read the chapter properly. Listen to the explanation. Clear? Notes also will be given to you, the question answers and the practice question also. So what you need to do is you need to have a big register. Divide the register to two parts. The first part will be literature part and the second part will be your grammar and writing. Clear? So question answers I will send you and some practice question also give it to you. So you need to finish that. Clear? Okay. Thank you everyone.